Hey, what's going on, guys? So I'm gonna have two reviews for you guys this week, and the first one's gonna be on the Booyah Pad Crasher. This is a relatively new frog. This frog came out, I think, last year, and I remember when it came out, I thought it was very reminiscent of the Copper's Live Target frog because of their color schemes. Their color scheme. In fact, when I first saw it, I thought that it was a Copper's Live Target frog. So I'm going to go over some of the features that the frog has and tell you about my experience on the water and just compare it up against some of the other more popular frogs that are out there. Alright guys, so the Booyah Pad Crasher. Their website doesn't really say a whole lot about it. In fact, if you go to booyahbait.com, they don't even have that frog on their website. And then you go over to LureNet, which is where EBSCO, which is the Pradco brand, they keep all of their lures pretty much on the same website, which is lurenet.com. And they say a little bit more about the frog, but I think that we'll find out a little bit more over at Tackle Warehouse, just about like sizes and colors and stuff, because they've got two different sizes. They've got a junior and then they've got the standard size, this is the standard size. So the junior, which I believe is the newest one, has a length of 2 inches, a weight of 1/4 of an ounce, and it's a topwater floating style lure. And then the standard one, this one right here, has a length of 2.5 inches and it weighs 1/2 ounce, topwater floating style lure. And then if we jump back over here to lurenet.com, they also show a Poppin' Pad Crasher, which I believe is also new. I'm not even sure Tackle Warehouse has that one yet. That frog may have come out here at ICAST 2013. I'm not sure. You guys can comment if you know for sure. But anyway, I'm pretty sure that the smaller frog and the Poppin' Frog are newer style frogs. So one of the first things that I noticed about this frog, like I said, when they come into the box, they're like this. So one of the first things, when I first saw this frog, I thought that it was exactly like a Copper's Live Target, and I'll show you why. One of the first style Copper's Live Target frogs that I bought was in that leopard style frog, just like this. So you see them side by side like that. You can see why I would think that, because look at even the leg material is exactly the same. It's the same. It's not even shades off. I mean, it's the same color, you guys. They're the same yellow and green color. I've obviously cut down this skirt material a little bit more. This one still has the full length on this one, but I mean, I'm pretty sure you can tell what they were going for and what market that they were trying to target was. They were trying to take some of that market away from Live Target, no pun intended. So anyway, the point is that I believe that the frog is trying to mimic a little bit more of that Copper's Live Target style frog. But there are some differences, and I'm going to show you those differences right now. The first difference is the body is a bit narrower than a Live Target frog. The first one that I showed you, this is a 55T. So you can see the 55T versus the Booyah here on the right, narrower. 65T, narrower yet, but the body's about the same length at least. But the idea with this frog is that, just like any other frog, a lot of these companies really target the consumer as their frogs being able to walk really well, because that's what people want out of their frogs. So, and I've told you guys my opinion about being able to walk a frog. I think it's great, but I don't think it's completely necessary to catch fish for a frog to be able to walk really well. It's just a nice feature. Now, this frog, they say that it has these chines on it, and the chines are these striations that you see here. And the only reason I'm familiar with that term chine is because in the kayak fishing world, which I'm sure is the same in the boating world, but in the kayak fishing world, one of the kayaks that I want to get, which is a Wilderness Systems Rider 135, I remember watching a video from Chad Hoover talking about the chines on the kayak that make the kayak more stable. Well, anyway, in this respect, they're saying that these chines here are going to make the frog able to walk easier. I don't know how much I can see that, but that's what they're saying. They're saying that the frog is able to walk easier because of these raised I guess, rolls in the body of this lure. The rolls, or the chines as they call it, are so subtle, you guys. I just don't see how that could make it walk easier. I'll tell you what I think does make it walk easier is the fact that it's a narrow bait. You know, cigar style spook lures, they walk easy because they're long and narrow. And when you pull them to one side, they want to dart only in one direction. They don't want to pull in any other direction. Well, I think that that's kind of the same premise behind this lure, that it's narrow, it's a little longer at the 2.5-inch length, but it's I think that it's just because of the narrow body of it. I'll show you this frog too. As a side note, this frog got a little bit narrower after a bunch of bass bit it, so it's probably a little narrower than what you guys are going to get out of the box, but nonetheless, it's still a narrower body than the Copper's Live Target altogether. Or I'll go ahead and show you the Spro, the bronze-eye frog too. It's still a bit narrower than that frog as well, but about the same size altogether. I mean, there's two basic sizes in the bass fishing world, seemingly. That you have the Spro bronze-eye 65 style, which is a slimmer frog, and then you have the Copper's Live Target frog, which is a fatter frog. So, but anyway, talk about these legs here. The leg material seems to be made out of rubber. There's about 20 strands on each side. They say that the legs are adjustable. I don't know what they mean by that, other than just being able to cut them down, which is something that I would do. I haven't cut these down. I caught plenty of fish on both of them, and I think that if you cut them down, it would just make the frog just a little bit easier to deal with. I'm not going to say it's going to make it easier to work. It might make it easier to walk the dog, but I think just deal with altogether when you're throwing it out there. It's not going to get tangled up as easily. You're not going to have stuff flying all over the hooks and everything. You can see the hooks are slightly exposed over the top of the frog, but I never really had an issue with the frog coming through weeds or anything like that. It just seemed to do a really good job. Now, as far as the softness of the body, I guess. It's actually a very soft frog. It rivals the Copper's Live Target frog. I don't know if I would say it's as soft. It's definitely not. It's definitely softer than the bronze-eye 65 frog. I mean, 100% softer than that frog, and it's definitely softer than the snag-proof Ish's Fat Frog. Just to show you guys a comparison there. There's the Ish's Fat Frog, but. I would say that it's probably just a little bit stiffer than the Copper's Live Target frogs that are out there, and I think that the difference is negligible. So they're pretty much in the same ballpark. I felt like I could land every fish that I took a swipe at this frog. In fact, I would venture a guess that I may have missed one fish that bit my frogs as far as the pad crashers. So. I felt like the hookup ratio was pretty good with this frog. One of the things that I noticed about this frog is that the body comes off of the hooks really, really easily, you guys. I mean, just incredibly easily. The body didn't start coming off the hooks on my Copper's Live Target frogs until I got a good half a dozen or a dozen to 2 dozen fish in the boat. Now, this frog, the very first fish that I caught on these frogs, the body just started coming off. So it's not that big of a deal, really, because of the fact that the body still seems to be in pretty good shape. Now, as far as taking on water, you can see it's got an exit hole there. I felt like it did pretty average with taking on water. It does take on a bit of water, but it doesn't do it in a fashion that makes the lure unfishable. So just about maybe every 2 casts or something, just give it a good squeeze like that, and the water seems to come out pretty decently. So the durability of the paint, go ahead and show you guys up close shot of this lure. You can see that the eyes are pretty much getting all scuffed up already. You probably can't see much of the fine scratch. You can start to see them a little bit there, but there's some fine scratches from where the bass were biting on the top of the lure when they come down over the top, and then their sandpaper teeth start to scrape it pretty good. The bottom of this lure is starting to get pretty roughed up too. I don't know if you can tell. That's a pretty decent shot right there. You can start to see how the the body of the frog is just starting to get worn in a little bit. So again, not a big deal. I've got several fish on both of these, and they're in really good shape, and I don't feel like they're in any way unfishable. They both are performing as expected and performing as they would out of the package. So that's the best information I can give you about durability about these frogs. So let's see, what else do we want to talk about? Let's talk about these colors. I've got two colors here. The first color I'm going to talk about is this Leopard Frog, and like I already told you, it looks exactly like the Copper's Live Target frog that they came out with a few years ago. And it's just a green top with the black dots all over it. You've got that circle on the side for that frog, but pretty much here's the business of the frog. It's got a yellow throat, a white body, and two different color strands of skirt material with the yellow and the dark forest green. So there's Leopard Frog. Next frog I'm going to show you guys is called Dart Frog. Dart Frog is pretty much the same idea as this Leopard Frog with that same pattern, but you've got yellow and black. But here's the business of the frog. It's a black frog with, I think there are 5 strands of yellow and 15 strands of black on both sides of the lure, as far as the leg skirt material goes. So, and then it's also got that same frog dot there on the side. So there's Dart Frog. Well, I hope I'm not missing anything about this review, you guys. The hooks are sharp. They seem to do the job very, very well. It's an extra wide gap style hook on there. It looks like it could be a Gamakatsu, but who knows for sure. I didn't find anything on their website about it. So there's my review of the frog. If you guys like the video, hit the like button. Really appreciate that. It's down there in the lower left corner. And then if you guys have any experience with the frog, which I'm sure most of you guys do, just comment on the bottom. I want to hear about your guys' experience with the Booyah Pad Crasher, because it's a pretty good little frog and it's very inexpensive. I think it's like $5 or $6, so it's going to be better price point than the Coppers or the Spro Bronzeye. So check out the Booyah Pad Crasher and stay tuned for the next review. It's going to be on the Bose Sumo Frog. Thanks, guys.